Hello students and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about Thanjavur Bani. Yes, the cultural and the political capital of Tamil Nadu or the Tamil land is Thanjavur, variously called as Thanjavur or Thanjore. It is also the rice bowl of the region, providing food and sustenance for millions. Thanjavur Bani is so called because it hails from the region wherein were based four brothers Chinnaya, Ponnaya, Shivanandam and Vadivel, forming the Thanjavur quartet. They were the court musicians under the Marathi ruler Sarfoji II, 1798 to 1832. Their descendant and marriage alliance led to the creation of what is called a Thanjavur Bani, of which Pandanallur is but a popular branch. Bharatnatyam is an ocean. Banis are the stream or rivulet that flow into the river of ocean. Banis are not independent of the form itself, but either enhance it or identify it. With zealous students nowadays tom their gurus and banis, each vying to highlight their own, the pioneering gurus themselves had no point of view on such banis and freely gave and took from each other. These first generation guru did not need such nomenclature because their main aim was to establish the art form long neglected and sidelined, win new adherents, and they were not interested in turfs. They were the originators and creators of these banis and wisely knew the art was bigger than individuals. The four brothers collectively heralded and shaped what was perhaps the most glorious flowering of the dance form that was then called Sadir or Chinnamelam. Each of the brothers were undisputed musical genius. Between them, they made definitive moves to codify the dance, to develop a pedagogy starting with the basic adabus and culminating in the concert repertoire, to bind the temple performance of dance to agamic ritual. The celebrated brothers were born in a Nattuvanar, choreographer and composer family, and were educated in music by the great saint poet Muthuswami Dikshityar, one of the members of the Trinity of Karnataki music. The four brothers flourished under the royal patronage and went to the same court musician at various South Indian courts. Chinnaya, 1802 to 1856, took Bharatnatyam to the Vadiyavar court in Karnataka, Mysore. Ponnaya, 1804-1864, and Shivanandam, 1808 to 1863, stayed on in Thanjavur under Maratha patronage, and the last, Vadivelu, 1810 to 1845, modified the violin for the use in Karnataka music which accompanies the dance. Vadivel introduced and popularized violin in Carnatic music concerts along with Baluswami Dikshityar. He was also responsible, along with Swati Tirunal, the Maharaja of Travancore, for popularization of Mohiniyattam, providing opportunities to women dancers. Until then, Kathakali, the main preserve, dominated the dance scene in Kerala. The brothers composed a large number of varnams and kritis, including the Navaratnamala, a tribute to their guru Dikshityar, called Vadivelu, and Ek Sandgrahi, one who had the ability to reproduce a song after hearing it only once. The Thanjavur quartet codified the basic Bharatnatyam adavus, that is the dance unit, designed the margam, the configuration of the contemporary Bharatnatyam performance form, Alaripu to Tilana, appropriate for the concert stage. The brothers composed an impressive number of Alaripus, Jatishwaram, Kautvams, Shabdam, Varanam, Padam, Javalis, Kirtanas and Tilanas, and brought artistic changes and innovation of matchless exquisiteness to the tradition. Their masterpieces of compositions are unparalleled and honored in the world of classical music and dance. Margam evolved by the quartet in a structured manner, introduced Nritta and Nritya, including Abhinaya, to make the transition from one to the other easy and smooth for the artist and the viewers alike. It was the standard fare offered by the dancers till about the third quarter of the last century, after its great revival in the earlier quarter. Its heyday was reached during the 25 years after independence, when great gurus like Pandanallur Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai, Kuttumarakoil Muthukumar Pillai, Tiruvandamur Kuppaya Pillai, and Vansamur Ramaya Pillai strode the field like giants and groomed many students who later became international stars. It must be emphasized that Thanjavur Bani is unique within the Isai Vellala community, as it did not have any hereditary dancers, only musicians. Until recently, it has not had any hereditary dancers, Devadasi, in their family tree. It also did not allow until the 19th century its women to have professional artistic status in public domain. It is the male members of this group who are associated with music and teaching dance. This feature makes it uniquely different from all others at that time, which means while they could be gifted and perform on family occasions, they were not public performers. In the 20th century, this Bani got two streams represented by popular heads, Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai and Pichaya Pillai. One stayed in Pandanallur and briefly in Madras. One in Thanjavur, one, Meenakshi Sundaram, became hereditary, and one not Pichaya. Thanjavur K.P. Kittappa, 1913 to 1999, and his brother K.P. Shivanandam, direct descendants of the Thanjavur quartet, are the sons of Ponnaya Pillai, a great scholar in music and dance. Credit goes to them for reviving rare dance form that used to be performed as a part of the temple ritual and worship. Vaijantimala Bali brought out the book Thanjai Nalviran Adi Sangeeta Bharatakala Manjari that has musical dance compositions that have not been accessible to general public so far. She delved into a treasure house of rare Bharatanatyam dance by Thanjavur quartet. Says Vaijantimala, as their disciple, I am keenly interested in maintaining the pure and pristine form of Bharatanatyam and strictly adhering to the Thanjavur Bani. My grandmother, the late Yadugiri Devi, was instrumental in getting the book Adi Bharata Kala Manjari published by my dance academy in 1964. Some of the ancient musical dance compositions such as Navasandhi Kautvam, Panchamurti Kautvam, Prabandhams, Geetam, Tayyam, and Solladi found place in books edited by Kittappa Pillai and Shivanandan. Their family had carefully preserved the text with Sahitya, Swara and Tala, and also maintained several musical traditions. Now, some of the beautiful pieces have been revived and compiled by Chinnaya Shivkumar, son of Shivanandan. The new publication contains some valuable and rare compositions including Jatiswarams, Tana, Varanam, Padam, Swarnams and Tillana. This will be an invaluable work of art which brings alive the rich and glorious tradition compositions of ancient times. Trained as a musician, a vocalist and a mridangist, according to the time-honored custom of his family and son of a remarkable musician scholar Ponnaya Pillai, Kittappa braved parental disapproval to take up dance teacher's tapstick. One could see why he had to. He was a born choreographer. A dance teacher must have eyes, he often said. He had singularly far-seeing pair. He revived his family's old repertoire and composed new pieces for his student, always observant, always able to tell exactly what movement could suit each one and what each one's emotional bent was. The complex rhythms of the Pandanallur style were as simple under his management and as natural as the beating of one's heart. He was generous to his student and, unlike some gurus, did not object to their working with other teachers. His son Chandrasekhar inherits and passes on this tradition, working at Thiruvallur and Chennai. In Kittappa Pillai's choreography, music comes first. He seems to see the visual along with the music. So, whenever he choreographed a dance pattern into a musical structure, it blended perfectly into it. He did not advocate unnecessary brigas or the twisting of the words in swinging. His sangathis in varnams and padams gave utmost importance to the word and its emotional content. His musical rendering for dance may sound a little too simple, but in combination with dance choreography, his music takes on a quite another hue. Guru Kittappa's choreography or Audavus was always in Madhyam Kalam. Sometimes he combined it with the solos in faster tempos. His jatis never seem complicated, but when one starts reciting them with talam, one realizes the clever weave of panchajatis and karavais. His philosophy of Bharatanatyam was that dance should be beautiful to see and to listen. In the present day, many of the tirmanams or the rhythmic sequences that are performed in pure dance numbers have their origin in one way or the other from Kittappa's choreographical collections, either inherited or embellished by Kittappa himself. Several unique features of the executed dance compositions of the Thanjavur quartet are based solely on the fact that the composers of these were endowed with excellent skills in the theory and practice of music and dance and different languages. Sri Raj Rajeshwar Bharatanatyam Kala Mandir in Mumbai has been propagating the tenets of Thanjavur style. It was founded in 1945 by A.T. Govindaraj Pillai, 1914 to 1984, assisted by his wife Karunambar. The success of this venture led to the migration of Govindaraj Pillai's father-in-law T.P. Kuppaya Pillai and his family from Thanjavur to Mumbai. Starting with just 4 students, the institution grew in course of time into a banyan tree with sons T.K. Mahalingam Pillai 1916-2002 contribute and K. Kalyan Sundaram born 1932 contributing their individual brilliance. The Rajeshwari Gurus have an illustrious lineage of ancestors dating back to more than 3 centuries. Venkat Krishna Natavanar enjoyed the patronage of the Maratha ruler Sarfoji II of Thanjavur. The second generation of Veeraswamy Natavanar and his sister Chinnappa Ammal were followed by the renowned Panchapeksha Natavanar 1845 to 1902, who was the Samasta Vidwan of Thanjavur and Ramanathpuram courts. The Panchapeksha Natavanar was also honored by the royal houses of Baroda and Mysore. He is credited with compiling Abhinaya Navachetanam, a monumental treatise on Abhinaya and a practical guide specially to Hastabhinaya based on Nandikeshwar's Abhinaya Darpan. His only son Kuppaya Pillai 1887 to 1981, the prime architect of Sri Raj Rajeshwari Bharatanaट्य Kala Mandir, is credited with reviving ancient kavutvams, especially Navasandhi kavutvams, in the early 1940s. His Kamala Chakram, a lotus-wheeled compedium depicting the mantras-based complex 108 talas beside the popular 35 talas, is invaluable to all students of music and dance. His son-in-law A.T. Govindaraj Pillai, son T.K. Mahalingam Pillai and T.K. Marutappa Pillai, K. Kalyan Sundaram, daughter Karunambal and daughter-in-law Maithili Kalyan Sundaram have helped the institution to blossom into what it is today. The versatility of the Guru's shine through the dance drama and the Ekaharya depictions they have choreographed, in all of which the aesthetic grace of the Thanjavur Bani catches the style. The geometric exactitudes in the way the limbs are aligned gives the adavus the distinctive aesthetic touch. The symmetry and grace in the movement with the body in the center makes the delightful viewing. There is no ungainly bending or overstretching of any part of the body at any time. The head and the hand movement are marked by alluring grace with neither stiffness in movement nor slackness. The large variety of adavus ensures that the tilanas, jatishwarams, etc. have koravis that are not repetitive in nature. In every koravai or jatis, different nrita hastas are employed to make for interesting viewing. The jatis are short and crisp, employing several permutation and combination of jatis interwoven so cleverly that the layman does not realize the extent of complications in the calculations. Relaxed presentations as opposed to frenzied execution of jatis is characteristic of this bani. Mridanga jatis are aligned with solla kuttus and not the other way around. The gurus of this school believe that the power below the waist and grace above it is the essence of good nritya. Guru Kalyan Sundaram was among the first to introduce musical preludes in padams and javalis to establish the storyline. This helped city audience of places like Mumbai, with no base for Tamil culture in the 60s, to come closer to the art form. Abhinaya is subal. The Guru strongly believe that it is the duty of the dancer to suggest and the audience to imagine it. Guru Mahalingam Pillai, who has himself written beautiful padams, was against over-dramatization. The repertoire of this school covers the whole gamut of the margam, thematic dancing and group production. Emphasis on singing with the bhava and clarity of sahitya. The Natuvnars of this Bani are always accomplished musicians and can sing along while wielding the cymbals. Guru Murtappa Pillai was an excellent choreographer and a respected Mridangam Vidwan. Guru Govindaraj Pillai, besides being a Natvangam Vidwan, was an excellent Sangeet Vidwan too. His brief raga essays before each dance item elicited praise from the musicians of repute and created the right ambience for the setting of the music, several new pieces for dance. Guru Kalyan Sundaram is known for his flair for composing and setting to music several new pieces for dance. Some of the Kalyan Sundaram's prominent disciples include Malvika Surakai, Sudha Chandrasekhar, Vani Ganapati, Lata Pad, Preeti Warrior, Sunita Pillai, Vijay Prakash, Gauri Rao, Padmaja Suresh, mostly Bombay talent of that period. Kandappa Pillai, 1899 to 1941, second wife was the granddaughter of Ponnaya Pillai of Thanjavur quarter and the childhood playmate of Dandamal's daughter Lakshmi Ratnam. Kandapa's ancestry has been in service of Thanjavur court during the 17th century, moved to Tirunelveli during the 18th century and returned to Thanjavur around 1800. Kandapa's father, Neliyappa Nattuvanar, trained dancers of an earlier generation. He taught music to Jayamal and Lakshmi Ratnam, but not to his son Kandappa, who learned Nattuvangam from his paternal grandfather Kannaswamy. Nattuvanar of Baroda and from his uncle K. Ponnaya. Kandappa's rhythmic compositions for dance reflect adherence to principles of structure that set him apart among relatives who also represented the Thanjavur Nattuvanar family tradition. From Thanjavur to Georgetown, Chennai, came Guru Kandappa Pillai in the early 20th century with a lineage to boast of. His tiltage of Bala, granddaughter of Veena Dannamal, helped her heart and his own outreach. He went to teach so far as Almora when Uday Shankar started his dance studio there. Thus, a guru from Thanjavur taught in the Himalayas. Kandappa's jatis were tight and taut, and Bala represented the show flooring of this. At Almora, the guru found the food and court climate a detriment to his overall health and soon returned to Madras. Guru Ellappa Pillai came from Kanchipuram and honed his skill with Kandappa. His home in Mambalam attracted likes of Ram Gopal, the internationally famous dancer, and a host of French girls who made Madras their dance home. He was a skillful teacher and a great singer. Thanjavur was actually the source from where almost all dance gurus came. They were teachers of new urban elite of Madras, which included many film stars. Some gurus were more famous because they were in great demand to direct dance sequences in Tamil films. Thanjavur Quartet being the founders musically, one of the families that made dance prominent other than non-hereditary mention, Pichaya, was Thanjavur Bala Saraswati, 1918 to 1984. Bala was the seventh generation descendant of the musician and dancer. Papa Mal from the 18th century Thanjavur court. Hailing from the Devdasi community, Bala is celebrated for helping continue the pristine art of Devdasis. More than her technique, it was her abhinay that was celebrated. The quality of the music that she used was exceptional. This was not surprising because she was the great granddaughter of the legendary Veena player Dannamal. Bala Saraswati's whole family was accomplished in music and dance. The legendary Jayamal, Bala Saraswati's mother, who sang for Bala's performance, was the daughter of the legendary Veena Dannamal. A trained singer, Bala sang for her daughter Lakshmi Kaigat's dance performance in later years. Under her demanding guru N. Kannappa, a sixth generation Nattuvanar of the Thanjavur Chinnaya line, who represented the best of the Thanjavur quarters, she flowered into a great dancer. His early death left her without a perfectionist taskmaster, but by then the West had discovered her and soon she was lauded at home too. Till her death, Bala remained an important link to the Devdasi tradition. Vocalist T. Brinda and T. Mukta were daughters of Kamakshi Ammal and granddaughters of Veena Danammal. They were cousins of Bala, whose younger brother T. Vishwanath, flautist, and T. Ranganath, mridangist, were also prominent performers and music teachers in India and United States. As an accompanist to his performers and music teachers in India and United States, Sister Bala, in her recital, Vishwa made valuable contribution to dance music. Filmmaker Satyajit Ray first saw Bala Saraswati in 1935 when he was 14 years old and she was 17. He wanted to make a film on her in 1966, but the project worked out only a decade later. Bala Saraswati is listed among America's irrepressible dance treasures, the first 100 for being a veritable ambassador for Bharatnatyam outside India. While several learned from her, it is her daughter Lakshmi Naik who continued her legacy. Lakshmi died in December 2001. Aniruddha suffered being who he is since early childhood. Tamil Nadu being so caste oriented in the art, he was singled out because he was the great Bala's grandson and Lakshmi's son. He was shy and his fancy upbringing in USA did not help. When he first appeared on stage as a lanky teenager in kurta pajamas some 15 years ago, many wrote him off. He dealt with that. He dealt with the death of his mother at a young age, and he dealt with all the barbs and digs. Today, he is the best, yes, he is the best among all the male solo Bharatnatyam dancers. Aniruddha learned music in two different ways, music for the sake of music and music for dance, and the two are different. In fact, he is amongst the very few, if not the only one, who can sing to and knows music as well as he knows dance. Entranced by Vaijayantimala's dance, Nartaki, Natraj went to Thanjavur to seek training under Guru Kittappa Pillai, but had to wait for a year before he accepted her as the disciple. It was he who named her Nartaki. Nartaki Natraj stayed with Kittappa Pillai for 15 years, yes, and is now one of the foremost performers of Thanjavur Bani. In 2000, she started Valiyambalam School of Dance in Chennai. She specializes in rare and ancient Tamil composition, Thevaram, Tharpagal and Tiruvasagam. She has a huge collection of rare Tamil books which she refers to when working on dance production. She also presents women-oriented theme. Guru Acharya Parvati Kumar, who had done exhaustive study of King Sharfoji's contribution. He created Nirupanas and put them in dance shape. The first Nirupana was taught to Srimati Paul Shastri, Srimati Suchita Chafekar and others in due course. Suchita Chafekar was inspired by her guru's research and made presentations of hitherto unknown Marathi compositions of Thanjavur Maharaja or the rulers between 17th and the 19th century. She also unearthed some rare Marathi, Hindi and Sanskrit compositions of King Shahji from the hidden treasures of Saraswati Mahal Library of Thanjavur with the guidance from Dr. V. Raghavan and her guru Kittappa Pillai. Students, I hope you have enjoyed the Thanjavur Quartet's journey today.